Got to go to somebody else. Mayfield pulls it down now on the run and going to make it to the end zone for the touchdown. One now. Chubb, running room to the 10, the 5, touchdown. Third down, Hunt breaks a tackle and he's got a first down. Hughes still on his feet. Kareem Hunt breaks it towards the end zone and he's in. Swing out your hands quickly. Third and goal. The end zone is caught by Njoku.
Here we go.
Welcome, everybody, to the DAWGS Podcast. I'm your host, Clarence Wilson. With me, as always, is my co-host, my main man, Double R, Ruben Rodriguez. How you doing, Rube?
What's going on there? What's going on? Clarence, it's another busy week in the NFL. We'll get to that in a minute. We got a guest host today.
That's right. We got a special guest host today. Joining us is Josh Ungar. Josh, how you feeling, man?
Well, it could be better if I didn't have a broken elbow and didn't have to get surgery on it. So,
wow.
There's that.
Yeah, being down a limb is never a pleasant thing. Never a pleasant thing.
That's gotta suck. That's gotta be. I could tell. I could see right here looking at you, man. That can't be comfortable, is it?
It's made things really, really difficult.
Yeah, that can't be comfortable.
Yeah. The one good thing, I guess, is that it's my non-dominant arm, so I can still write. I can still use my right hand, but you have no idea. It's a pain in the butt.
I can imagine. How long you got to keep that on for?
I get the splint off on Thursday. And then I'm supposed to get some type of plastic removable cast or something. I'm not 100% sure what the whole ordeal is, but I'm in splint. I have a sling. I have to have a catheter in my shoulder right now. So yeah, so much fun, isn't it?
Wonderful.
I know. I mean, it's not as fun as what happened in the NFL today. Good Lord.
No, it's been busy. Clarence, man, what's going on?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. Just real quick before we jump in, we are brought to you by Believe Land Media. Make sure you go out and check out all of our podcasts. We've got a wide-ranging assortment of podcasts covering basketball. You know us, we cover our Browns and football. We've also got the Guardians of Cleveland, who are covering the Guardians.
Yep.
Future Guardians covering the minor league organization. All things Cavalier cover the Cavs. And then we have the Mic Drop, which is covering just a wide arrangement of sports, not just Cleveland, covering some of the national stuff as well. And coming soon for you wrestling junkies, Podcast Pod, coming at you. So let's get into it.
Isn't it the Pile Driver?
Yeah, the Pile Driver pod.
Driver.
My man, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
I'll jump on their pod for that one.
Oh my God.
I definitely might jump on their pod for that.
Paul Orndorff. Oh my God. Blast from the past. There was some pile driver. I had a couple of pile drivers in the NFL today, guys. I mean, some starting with the big one over in Green Bay, Clarence. So get us up to speed with that, man.
So some Browns fans' fantasy hopes were broken today as Aaron Rodgers announced that he is re-signing with Green Bay. There have been some terms of the deal reported, but the last I heard, he put out a statement saying that the terms aren't 100% correct, but he is most definitely re-signing.
Yes.
What was reported was 4 years for $200 million with $153 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
it's like my salary at work.
Yeah, kind of like that. I got $1.50
total, Clarence.
I've got $1.53 guaranteed. He has $153 million.
I have zero guaranteed because I'm a student right now trying to find work.
You'll get there, man. But yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I saw too. It's kind of like, I am coming back to Green Bay. Was his words, but he said he will let everyone know in due time what the terms are. don't believe what you hear is what you're. But, we know it was coming, man. I mean, anybody who thought that Rodgers was coming here, I got a bridge in New York. I got to sell you. That wasn't going to happen.
No way.
But the bigger, I don't say it's a bigger bomb, but it's just a domino effect from that one, guys, is that Devontae Adams then was able to be tagged by the Packers because obviously with whatever deal they came to terms with Rodgers, gave them enough room to tag Adams as well. So one led to another. And again, the hopes and dreams of the fantasies here, again, not just here, the Pittsburgh fans are probably drowning in their paninis because they're not getting Rodgers over there in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not. We knew this was going to happen. Man, Rodgers wasn't coming here, and Wilson, for that fact, matter wasn't coming here. We'll get into in a minute. Josh, what are your thoughts about it?
So I never thought Aaron Rodgers was coming here. I thought anybody who was thinking that was just a little bit cuckoo, to be perfectly honest with you. Because I just thought they were like completely dreaming.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably get into this later, but a more realistic option would have been maybe the Raiders would have been willing to trade Derek Carr had Josh McDaniels not been signed as their head coach. I thought that would have been an option.
Why?
Because it didn't. At the time, when Gruden was their head coach, I didn't feel like him and Carr had a great relationship. And even when Rich Bisaccia got there, it still felt like Carr didn't have the greatest relationship with the Raiders organization. So I'm like, maybe they're going to trade him in the offseason. That felt like a viable option for us.
But I mean, yeah, he would have been a good backup. I agree with you. But I've never heard of any bad blood between Derek Carr and anybody in the organization. Is it something that Carr wasn't liking with Gruden, or was it Gruden the one that didn't like Carr? Because
I'm just talking about from what I saw as an outsider. I should have specified that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Just from when I was watching the games, it seemed like there was a little bit of a tension between Gruden and Carr. Yeah. So my thought was like, okay, we get rid of Baker Mayfield because it seems like everybody in Cleveland basically wants him gone. And then I
haven't seen that one. I mean, okay, all right.
And then you bring in Derek Carr to replace him. There you go.
Yeah, that's.
Well, here's something else that happened today that also ruined some pipe dreams as well. We kind of mentioned it. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Reportedly now, it has not been 100% confirmed that we've seen, but reportedly he's getting dealt to the Broncos for a whole bunch of stuff. I've seen
way too much, man. Oh my God.
A couple first rounders, a second rounder, Noah Fant, a couple other players, including Drew Lock. I've seen all kinds of different things, but
that was just that's unbelievable, man.
That's a huge package for a guy who I think Russell Wilson is good. But how many more seasons do you have with this kid to give up, your future? I think this is a move that you make if you are ready to compete for that Super Bowl, maybe. I'm not sure that Denver is, and if the package that's being reported is what was given up,
they
better be making the playoffs and making the Super Bowl, because they're going to be giving up a whole lot of assets. And I don't think that I think the Rams showed one way that you could do it, but the Rams have been giving away draft picks for a few years. It finally came through for them this year.
Well, you can't.
It hasn't worked in previous years.
Now you can't
compare the two.
No, you can't compare that, because I mean, the Rams did give up all those draft picks. I'll give you this one. But when they, when they're giving up these draft picks and they got Stafford and all that, it's different. The Broncos don't have Cooper Kupp. And they don't have Jefferson, and they don't have Akers, and they don't have Aaron Donald. You know what I mean? You know, the Broncos are giving up. They want Russell Wilson to come in here, and all of a sudden, one of their best targets, and Noah Fant's gone.
Gone. Yep.
I mean, where does that make any sense?
It doesn't. But for me, I'm looking at the bigger picture here, which is the AFC is absolutely loaded. Look, I mean, there's not a bad quarterback in the entire AFC West now because you got Mahomes, Herbert, Russell Wilson, or reportedly Russell Wilson, I should say, and Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And then, here in the AFC North, you have Joe Burrow, who just went to the Super Bowl, and you have Lamar Jackson, who for some reason everybody is just forgetting about. I don't know how.
Who has not made it to the Super Bowl, but go ahead.
Right. And then you have Mac Jones, who looks like a promising quarterback for the Patriots.
Right, but he's not in the NFC North. That would be a guy named Mason Rudolph.
No, I'm just talking about the
AFC quarterbacks. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just talking about AFC quarterbacks in general and how the AFC has a lot of either
young quarterbacks, right?
Young quarterbacks that have already established themselves as elite or superstars, or young quarterbacks that are on their way to becoming that.
Yes.
You got,
I think when you look at the quarterbacks there, yes, you have some young studs, absolutely. But I also feel like 1 year does not make a quarterback. If one great year made a quarterback, then everybody would be loving, all the Browns fans would be loving on Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield had one great year and then he had one bad year. So I think it's time. I think just because Burrow had one good year, he's good. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good. Same with my man Herbert out in LA. He's a good young guy, but I think, you know what? Give him another year, see how defenses adjust, and see what happens. It's hard to say, but you are right. The AFC seems to be loaded, but I saw a lot of the local media already counting our Browns out of it, which annoyed the hell out of me, quite honestly, because they think because Russell Wilson came in there, the Browns are done. Have the Browns made a draft pick this year yet?
Nobody has, but
yes. And have they signed anybody in free agency this year?
No, like I said, it's bordering on idiocy. Yeah. I mean, it's like, this is not what we want. This isn't working out the way we planned. We were supposed to get those guys, and there's people out there that'll think, why didn't we give up 2 draft picks for him or 2 first round? Come on. And while we're talking about quarterbacks, let me throw this to you guys for a minute. This is some of the scary ass quarterbacks that are going to play the Browns next year. Taylor Heineke, Matt Ryan.
Oh.
It's either going to be Cam Newton or Darnold. Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Tua, Mason Rudolph twice.
I hope so.
It's either going to be famous Jameis Winston if he doesn't end up with somebody else, or Taysom Hill, or Tyrod Taylor, or Davis Mills.
You're forgetting one.
That's who we're facing. I just said scary. What's his name?
You're forgetting 3 in that mix that could be considered scary. Joe Burrow.
Who they're 3-0 again?
Who's defeated? Yeah, who's completely defeated against the Browns?
And Josh, and it's not Baker that beat him.
Yeah, okay, fair.
It's not Baker Mayfield that beat Joe Burrow 3 times. It's the Browns defense that's beaten Joe Burrow 3 times.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
Justin Herbert is coming to town.
Yes, he is.
And then, actually, no, it's only 2 because I'm not going to put Tua in that mix. Nope.
So do you see, out of all of those quarterbacks I just mentioned, They couldn't wipe Baker Mayfield's butt. And those are the guys. Those are the guys that are coming in that the Browns have to deal with next year. I didn't mention Burrow. I didn't mention Herbert, and I didn't mention Lamar Jackson because we're going to have problems with those guys. Baker Mayfield's not going to have a problem with those guys, Josh. The Browns defense is going to have problems with those guys.
But
he doesn't tackle. He doesn't cover. He's not the safety. He's not the guy that's got to chase these quarterbacks around. So
he's not on special teams as well. He's
not on special teams.
Messing field goals.
He doesn't kick the ball. He doesn't, you know what I'm getting at. Those quarterbacks are what this defense has to deal with. Not our offensive scheme. That has to change. The fact that Hooper, and I wanted to get into this, the fact that Hooper is going to be kept around here is mind-boggling to me, especially after you just tagged Njoku, and you're going to keep a guy who, quite frankly, had a terrible is giving him a good year last year. But the red flag is this, that by doing that, it sounds to me like the philosophy on offense isn't going to change. They're still going to go with that 12, and they're still going to go with that 12 and 13 personnel based on what I'm feeling, because they're keeping this guy. It's just, it's just crazy to me how they're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I actually want to touch on that, Ruben, because here's what I wanted from the Browns. Because we had an effective offense for the most part during the 2020 season, and that got us into the playoffs. And then we know what happened in that Pittsburgh game, and then our season ended in Kansas City. But I knew that in the offseason, teams were going to watch film on us and be like, okay, if we stack the box and prevent them from running the ball, we can force Baker Mayfield to beat us. And he has shown that he is consistently inconsistent. So, he'll have a good game, or he may have a stretch of 2 or 3 games in a row, but then he'll come back with maybe three bad games in a row type thing. So it's like each week you don't know what Baker Mayfield you're going to get. Whereas if you look at Aaron Rodgers, for example, you know every week I shouldn't say but more likely than not, you're going to get the good version of Aaron Rodgers. Or if you go against Josh Allen, more likely than not, you're going against the good version of Josh Allen. You don't know that when you face Baker Mayfield each week.
Right.
It's which version are we going to get? So while I agree with you that it's not Baker Mayfield directly competing against the opposing quarterback, I understand that point. I feel like he is competing against the opposing quarterback, because for me, it's, we could have had this guy over Baker Mayfield. Let's say Josh Allen has an amazing game when the Browns play against the Bills this coming season. He goes, I don't know, I'll give you 28 of 30 just as a hypothetical.
And you know what'll happen? People will just talk about the 2 incompletions he made.
Right. But
yes, that's exactly what they'll do. Right. He was 28 out of 35 with 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. They'll talk about the 7 incompletions and the 1 pick.
Right. But
that's exactly what they'll talk about.
Okay.
But this happened. And let me get to your point here. All the teams stacked the box so they can force Baker Mayfield to throw. Did you know that the Browns were 4th in the league in rushing?
That's why
they didn't stop anything.
part of you, and you also got to look at the play calling as well.
This running team didn't get stopped. We stopped our own running team. We stopped our own running game from happening.
You got to look at the play calling, because when Stefanski would come out and start firing, throwing all kinds of passes to begin the game instead of establishing the run game like he was doing in 2020. Exactly. Of course, that's going to change up a whole lot of stuff.
You look at the Baltimore Ravens, for example. Look at Baltimore. They know what their bread is buttered. It's with their running game, huh?
Exactly.
They don't get Lamar Jackson coming out throwing 15, 20 times in a row. They start running the football until you stop them.
Yep.
We don't.
It seems like the Browns didn't do that.
Number four. Maybe I think Baltimore was right behind us with 2,479 yards rushing. We were fourth in the league in rushing. I don't give a shit how many people they had stacking the box. They didn't stop us on the ground. We stopped ourselves. We had 219 yards rushing against Green Bay with 1:50 to go, Josh, and 3 timeouts. And we stopped runing the football. Green Bay didn't stop us.
Yeah, they stopped running the ball.
Green Bay never stopped us. That again, that's another example of not being a quarterback problem.
Mm-hmm.
Ruben, you and I do not totally disagree on this point.
That's not a quarterback problem, man.
No.
It's not.
I never said it was fully a quarterback problem. I'm not solely blaming Baker Mayfield, because Kevin Stefanski is not without blame as well.
He was the coach of the year before, using the same philosophy. What happened?
Like I said, teams go into the offseason and they make adjustments based on what you did the previous year that had success. Teams saw what we did, and they made adjustments to try and counteract that. Now, I understand it. Like you said, we ended up finishing fourth in rushing.
So those adjustments didn't work, because the thing that we do best is run the football. And that didn't stop us from running the football. We stopped ourselves. I don't think I brought this up, but we had 2 games where we lost over 22 players over an illness. That didn't help either. And nobody talked about that.
No, it didn't.
People also tend to forget about the first half of the season as well, when our defense wasn't really playing well.
Wasn't really right. I said it too. They needed time to gel, because you got a bunch of superstars together that didn't, other than the 2 guys, the Ram guys in the back, they never played together before. That took a little bit of time to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. People forget about, against the Chargers, how the Browns came back twice in the fourth quarter. But if you watch that entire game, the defense is just letting guys run buck wild out in the secondary. I can't remember.
And that's overshadowed because everybody started blaming the refs for that.
Blaming the refs and then blaming the QB. But there were so many wide receivers that were wide open catching balls in the first half of the season. Take away 2 of those games and say that the Browns win those games. Mm-hmm. Are we having a different discussion right now about the quarterback and everything else?
No,
I would say
maybe
so.
Not. There's still people that are going to complain and bitch and moan about it because they don't want
to. Of course there is. But you know what? If you're sitting at 10-7 or 9-8, and it's like, well, you know what, we got close to the playoffs and yada yada yada, you're going to have a different discussion on the team as whether you're sitting 8-9 and everybody's completely forgot about the second half of the season or first half of the season where the defense was not playing well, and have put it all on one player, when in honesty, it was a failure of this franchise from top to bottom. There's one person to blame. No one person to blame.
Like I said in the last
all the way down.
Like I said in the last podcast, the bone that I had to pick with the front office is that if you come out after the season now, a couple of weeks ago, Barry said that that he wasn't quite there, and they were taking his Baker's word about how he felt. No. If this is your organization, you failed the team, you failed the fan base by not putting your foot down and saying, you're too hurt to play. You're not the best option out here to make us win. We're going to go with this other guy until you feel better. You didn't do that.
Yep.
Right.
Any quarterback is going, Josh, right now, if they told you got a busted elbow, but you're going to fight, man. You're going to go like crazy to do what it is you like to do because you want to be on top. That just goes with your demeanor. That just goes with that player's demeanor. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I get that.
And I get, but you the leader of the organization, the general manager, the president of player personnel, the owner, they have to say, I got a fan base here who is counting on us, providing them a product, the best player out there to win. Right now, he can't do it. Why didn't you sit him?
Exactly. I'm wondering the same thing.
That doesn't go on. That has to go into the front office. And when Clarence brought that up a couple of weeks ago, it just got me going, because he's absolutely right. It's from top to bottom. Okay.
Top to bottom. There's no way in hell that Andrew Berry should have come out last week and said that, yes, injuries affected Baker Mayfield, when all season long, all they kept saying is, well, you know what? He looks fine in practice.
Yeah.
He looks good.
The doctors tell me, the doctors and Baker say that they're good enough to go. Well, then wait a minute. The doctors and Baker told you they were good enough to go, but you knew that he wasn't.
Yeah.
You're the one that's got to make that decision,
right,
man. You're the one that's got to make it.
And Ruben, here's my thing. I'm sorry, but Baker Mayfield, we have seen enough from you to where you can't use the injuries as an excuse. I'm sorry, but he cannot, because
how do you figure? Let's just look at a couple things.
Well, Josh,
we don't do a lot of Baker on this show, but we're going to get into it a little bit right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
How can you say that you haven't seen enough? Number one, he had a great rookie year. You know who he's throwing to his rookie year? Can you name those guys that he was throwing to his rookie year? He kept Rashard Perryman in the damn NFL. Mm-hmm. Nobody wanted that dude. He had Jarvis. He was throwing to Damian Ratley. So then let's go to year two. He had a great rookie year. Broke the rookie touchdown record, playing 14 games, 15 games.
Yeah, he had Higgins too, didn't he? Higgins.
And he had Hollywood. He had Hollywood. So let's look at year two. It's a well-known fact that Freddie Kitchens, the players came out and said it. They would practice stuff all week. And if I'm not mistaken, if you go back and look, I think the Browns were probably top 5, top 10 in first drive scores, first quarter scores. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they kind of fell off. And then afterwards, the players came out and said, oh, well, you know what? Freddie would run the stuff we practiced all week in the first drive, maybe the first quarter. Then they said after that, he started just going off stuff and they started running plays that they didn't really practice all week. So what do you expect to happen? Guys don't know where they're supposed to be at. He didn't have a good year. Bring in Stefanski, get rid of Freddie, bring in Stefanski. Mm-hmm. Stefanski gets them in order. Baker throws for 26 touchdowns, only 8 picks. Last 10 games of the season, he was one of the top 3 rated quarterbacks in the entire league. First 2 games this year, Baker Mayfield through the first 2 games of this year threw I think maybe 5 incompletions throughout the entire first 2 games.
Yeah, he had I think 341 and 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs, and he had 9 completions in a row before he got hurt with Houston. Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then he gets hurt against Houston. From that moment on, he had some decent games. He had that Chargers game was awesome, but the injuries started piling up. So to me, it's not a case of us knowing exactly what he is. People can say that, I know that he can't be that guy. How do you know? Because you've seen him be that guy. My biggest concern right now is that we have went 4 years, and due to coaching changes and injury, we're not sure 100%. But quite honestly,
he is. Yes.
Yeah.
We're
not sure.
Yeah.
We can't evaluate that. We can't evaluate a guy off of an injured season. I think any kind of evaluation of Baker Mayfield, I said it on this podcast 172 times, any evaluation of Baker Mayfield off of last season is garbage. Because you know what? You're not going to evaluate somebody when they're hurt. When they get hurt in week 2, and then they start collecting injuries throughout the rest of the season.
Because it wasn't that guy. Right, because it wasn't just the labrum. The labrum led to the shoulder because he was favoring the opposite one, which led to a knee injury, which led to a foot. And again, that's on the front office. That should have never happened if you sit the kid down. But that's just another story. But just to piggyback on yours, there's a lot of people in this town that went out and had a drink happy, and then they got hurt. 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 And then they got when they re-signed Conklin at right tackle. No, we had to do that. Why did they re-sign Conklin? Because we got to give him another chance. He was hurt most of the year. Okay.
That sounds familiar.
So that reevaluation has to happen because he was hurt and we really didn't see Jack Conklin at his best. Okay. So it works for your right tackle.
You're wondering why it doesn't work for the quarterback.
Yeah. So we have to reevaluate Jedrick Wills, who again missed 8 games because he wasn't the Jedrick Wills in his rookie season. He needs to be reevaluated now to see just exactly what Jedrick Wills is. Last year was a microcosm. We're going to give him a pass. We're going to start doing that again this year, but not your quarterback.
All right,
Jarvis Landry. All right, we're gonna try to see if we can sign Jarvis Landry to a little bit less money because we really know what we can get out of Jarvis. He was the glue that kept this team together when we were terrible, and we have to give him that chance because Jarvis Landry missed 7 games last year. We didn't get the full package with Jarvis Landry, so we're gonna give him another shot. We're trying to get him for a little bit less money. If not, then there's nothing they can do. But they're also going to reevaluate him because why? Because he was hurt last year. But
all right.
But that doesn't matter for the people that don't want the quarterback here. That doesn't matter. You can't reevaluate him because we don't want him here in the first place. All right. I personally want the same Baker Mayfield that I saw at Ohio State plant that flag. And I think that's the problem with you guys. You guys can never get over that. You'll never get over the fact that he disrespected your college in college and did that. And then all of a sudden your football team drafts him. You guys will never get over that.
I didn't personally. Okay, 2 things. First of all, I didn't have a problem with that because I'm not really an Ohio State fan. So I didn't take issue with it at all. Secondly, I totally understand what you guys are saying about like these other guys having injuries and allowing them to be reevaluated. So why aren't we doing the same for Baker Mayfield?
Because drum roll, please.
But here's my thing. He was drafted number 1 overall in 2018.
That's correct.
Right. So he's had 2018, 2019, 2020, and now 2021. 4 years in the league. So, and I get it. He's had different coaches and different offensive systems.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
And with different coaches, Josh, and with a different system. In 2018, he broke the rookie record for touchdowns.
Right. I get that.
In 2019, he had Freddie Kitchens, enough said.
Right.
In 2020, he went to the playoffs.
Okay, Ruben,
but that's not good enough for you.
No. 2020 and 2021 he's hurt.
Okay,
2020 he was hurt.
I'm going to forget about the hurt part. Forget about the hurt part. In 2018, he came in and the team was 1-31, and he won the rookie. He broke the rookie record for touchdowns. In 2019, not only Baker Mayfield, but this whole team had to put up with Freddie Kitchens. And then they got rid of Kitchens. Now I'm saying this because you got 3 different philosophies. You got Greg Williams, then you got Freddie Kitchens, 4 of them, Hugh Jackson and Greg Williams. That year that he had those 2 coaches, he broke the rookie record for touchdowns.
Understood.
Then he had Freddie Kitchens. And in 2020 with a different guy, right, he takes the team to the playoffs. But for some reason, that's not good enough for you guys.
That's not what I'm saying. You're not I don't think you're understanding fully what I'm saying, Ruben. For me, what I feel like we have enough film on him to know generally what kind of quarterback he is.
Okay.
And from what I've seen year to year, my overall feeling on him is that he is consistently inconsistent. Like I said earlier, he'll have like games like we saw against the Chargers, like what you were saying earlier, Clarence. So I agree with you on that. But then he'll have games like what we saw in week 8 against Pittsburgh, where, okay, that was a that was also receivers weren't catching the ball. I'll give you that one, but still, like, he didn't have the greatest game in the world.
Yeah.
So it's like I said earlier, we just don't know which Baker Mayfield is going to show up. Are we going to get the one that shows that woke up feeling dangerous, like when we played Atlanta?
Yeah.
Or that's what I'm trying to say. It's like he has like mixed personality syndrome. And that's what bothers me about him is like, I want him to play more consistently. Like being the number 1 overall pick, you get heaps of expectations put on you. Like,
right. I had no problem. I had no problem with my number 1 overall pick.
Do you get what I'm saying a little bit now?
I get exactly what I get exactly what you're talking about. But I personally am in a different breed. I have no problem with my number 1 overall pick. Picking your team up from the ashes. I have no problem with him taking us to the playoffs. And
I love that we went to the playoffs, by the way.
What happens to this team? And again, we'll get into this what if. This is one of my what ifs for later on. But if he doesn't get hurt this year, where do you think this team goes?
Right.
Nobody knows where it goes. And to Clarence's point, nobody knows. You can't say that he's going to suck for the rest of his life because nobody knows. Just like nobody knows what would have happened if that man didn't get hurt this year.
I agree.
Every QB this season. If you want to really look at the NFL, there was probably no season more than this one that shows that it is an absolute week-to-week league. Just about every QB in the NFL put up stinkers this year. Yep. Everyone. Aaron Rodgers came out the gate with a stinker this year.
Yeah.
Out the gate, week 1.
Everybody does.
So,
it just happens.
Yeah, everybody
have a lot to do with that too.
Yes, and it's this is not one of my biggest pet peeves is how people say that this guy sucks. Well, everybody's not playing the same defense every week.
Yeah. True.
So every quarterback is not facing the same defense they faced the week before, and every team is not playing each other.
Yeah.
So the Browns have trashed the Bengals since Joe Burrow has come aboard, but the Bengals made the playoff.
They made the Super Bowl.
They made the Super Bowl.
So what is that? Yeah.
So it's a week-to-week league.
But that's why football is fun, man. I mean, because you just never know. And all this conversation, every time I hear this, it just gives me flashbacks because everything that they're saying about this kid it was said about Brett Favre. And I'm not comparing. Baker Mayfield couldn't hold Brett Favre's jock. And I'll be the first to tell you that. But Brett Favre was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. And Mr. Inconsistent that he was, because he was a gunslinger, they traded him to Green Bay. They just couldn't take it anymore. The fans were all over this. Why did you draft this kid? He's got to, and they traded him. And the rest is history. That's what I fear, that they're going to run this kid out of town and he's going to go somewhere and he's going to come back and beat this team's ass for hopefully two times a year, play somewhere in the division, or just go somewhere and just ball his butt off because we're too impatient here. We're too used to bad football in this town. Before Baker Mayfield was born, we've had bad football in this town, and we just want. They went to the playoffs a couple of years ago, so we want to. It didn't happen, but I mean, we need it now. We want it now. We're tired of losing, so unfortunately, this kid has to take the brunt of it. And again, if we're talking about number 1 overall picks, Myles Garrett should be very lucky that nobody's chomping out his butt. Because for being a number 1 pick in the draft as well, our defense hasn't been all that it's supposed to be. Because it just hasn't.
And Ruben, I think that speaks to 2 larger problems. Number 1, like this season, after we made the playoffs, people were heaping expectations on us this season, right? Like people were saying, okay, you got to make it back to the AFC divisional round. The Browns, people were saying the Browns are going to win the AFC North. People were saying the Browns are going to get to the AFC Championship. Mm-hmm. We've seen, unfortunately, from what I've seen is that when you put expectations on the Browns, they crumble under the pressure. We saw it in this season. Mm-hmm. In 2019, we hire Freddie Kitchens as our head coach, which I think was a stupid decision, but it seems like we all agree on that.
Yeah.
We go out and we trade for Odell and we make all these various moves. We're put on 4 or 5 primetime games, I think, that season. We go 6-10 and completely fail to meet the expectations that were heaped on us. So there's that problem.
But why did we meet the expectations, though? I don't think you can just say it's a Browns thing. You can say, you know what? They hired a coach who had no damn business being the coach. You put somebody else in that spot, maybe they hit their expectations.
They keep Greg Williams. They're gonna have a good year. Yeah.
To this day, they they fixed something that wasn't broken. I don't know if Greg was the answer, but you know what? Greg took them to 5-3. Had Baker playing well. Had that defense becoming a turnover machine.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. It's hard to say that they crumble on the expectations because since '99, they pretty much haven't. They've had what? After the 2007 season, they had some expectations, but that was the DA flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, 2019, since '99, 2019 is the only other year they had any expectations.
No, they had expectations this season.
That's what I'm saying. Coming into this season, besides that, and then coming into this season, they had expectations based off the playoff year. So I think it's kind of hard to and I'm not making excuses for them, but I feel like a lot of times
there's no reason to make excuses for them.
Yeah, there's no reason for an excuse, but I also feel like the nuance is not discussed. It's just, oh well, they just suck. Well, I mean, they had a coach that had never been a head coach at any level, coaching them, changing up plays. There's little things that happen outside of just what happens between the lines on the field that basically can determine the way your season goes.
I agree. So, but for me, it's like we saw what happened in 2007. We had a successful season. 2008, we had some expectations put on us. We failed to meet them for whatever reason. Maybe it was because Derek Anderson just had a flash in the pan season. So I'll agree with you on that one, Clarence. And then 2019, like I said, we had expectations put on us for that. We end up going 6-10. This season, we had expectations again based off of what we did in 2020. Failed to meet them. Uh-huh. But here's my other issue. And this isn't just a Baker Mayfield thing. This is a general quarterback problem that I've had with the Browns. Is when they draft a quarterback, they don't develop their offensive system around the quarterback's skill set. They just say, okay, we're drafting you, but we don't care if your offensive skill set fits our offensive system. We're putting you in this system anyway. So
based on what you just said, Josh, based on what you just said, if the Browns offense is not revolved around their quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. And you're smart enough to know that, why is everybody blaming most people blaming the quarterback for the issue?
Yeah, see, this is where
there's no answer. That's where there's no answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody knows this system is built about 12 to 13 personnel. This is a 3 tight end team that is going to throw short passes. That is not our quarterback skill set. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm happy you say that a little bit louder for everybody who's going to listen to the podcast. That is not our quarterback's skill set. His skill set is to roll out, get away from the pocket, and throw the ball like he did in 2018, like he did in 2020. like he tried to do in 2019, but Freddie Kitchens was there.
Yeah.
This team now is in the 12 and 13 personnel. Their offensive line is built to run the football. They've got a two-headed monster in the backfield, three-headed monster. If you add to Dearness Johnson, who, by the way, has to be franchise tagged in a couple of days, or he's going to be restricted free agent. Anyways, that's what this team is built on. So you smart enough, Josh, to know that, and I'm glad you said that. That they got this offense built around. They don't have it built around their quarterback's skill set, and that's what I'm afraid of. Him leaving here, going to another team that is going to build their offense around what this kid can do.
Yeah,
and that's where he's going to flourish if it gets to that point.
But I'm not just talking about Baker Mayfield in this case. I'm talking about like quarterbacks we've drafted in the past where I thought that we could have done something. Like when we drafted Colt McCoy, I personally liked Colt McCoy coming out of Texas. And I'm like, okay, try and see what Colt McCoy's skill set is and try and develop an offense that fits that.
They did. They just didn't surround him with the weapons to fit his skill set.
Right.
Which has been a problem from the beginning that we've discussed.
They built the offense.
99.
Yeah, they built the offense around Colt McCoy. They just didn't put any guys out there to play with him.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just using Colt McCoy as a general example of my overall point.
Yeah. I get you. 100%. I get you. We've been saying, how many times have we said that?
Yeah, we've been discussing this for a while.
Yeah, this team is built around the old Minnesota Vikings, where they pitching these little 5 and 10 yard out there. If there's people remember the West Coast offense that Bill Walsh started a long time ago with the 49ers. This is a modern day West Coast offense where you're throwing 5 or 10 yard hitch passes, and then having when you have 3 tight ends on a pattern and 1 wide receiver, there's a problem with that in this man's NFL.
Yeah, I got that.
The offense is built around basically your receivers being able to take a 5 or 10 yard pass and turn it into something bigger.
Exactly.
Turn it into something bigger. We don't have anybody that can turn anything into anything bigger.
It's very easy to get this team into this man's NFL by, I don't know, dumping Chubb or Hunt, going to a 1-back offense and just draft all the wide receivers you can. But you don't have the playbook for that.
Right. Hey, I hate to do this, but I actually got to use the restroom super quick. Sorry.
That's okay. We're going to wrap this up anyway, Josh.
Okay.
It was good to have you on, man. It was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was cool. Now we're going to get on your show one of these days.
Oh, yeah. Right. I'm down.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, folks. Next week we're gonna come back. We're gonna go over because we flew through this time period. We're gonna discuss a little bit of combine. It's kind of hard to talk combine. It's guys running in their shorts.
It's guys running, and next week at this time, guys, we're gonna be we'll be in the legal tampering
period. That's right.
So there's gonna be some stuff going on. The Russell Wilson trade can't be made official until then, but I guess it's not made official until he says it is.
Right.
That's right.
He's not waiving his no trade clause.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if I looked at the trade being Russell Wilson right now, if I looked at the trade and I said, what the hell am I going to go play with those guys for? I wouldn't go over there. He couldn't get. He had DK Metcalf on that team, and now he's going to go over to get Cortland Sutton's going to be his best receiver,
and Jerry Jeudy.
And Judy. I mean, that's a lot of thinking for him to do. I mean, whatever. You know what? I don't even know why I care. It's not my team. I don't give a crap behind what the Denver Broncos do. I really don't. I don't care.
Nope, I could care less.
All right, guys, we got to wrap this up with folks. Yep. As I always say every week, there's plenty of sponsorship opportunities for Josh's show and our show and BelieveLandMediaLLC.com. You guys can go in there and there's a bunch of packages in there that'll fit your budget. $50 a month or $50, I think it is, for a 6-month package. Up to $200 for a 6-month package. Kevin Sled's the honcho. He can get into that with you. Go on our page, get his info, shoot him an email. His phone number's on there. I'll never give it out. I say that every week. But yeah, man, we'd love to have you guys a part of our team. And so would Josh on his podcast. But give us a listen and give us a shout out, and you can be a part of the show.
Yep.
Josh, thanks again for being here, man. And Clarence, in the words of the immortal Freddie Kitchens.
If you do not wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Thanks, Josh, for coming on. Everybody have a good night.
Peace, everybody. Take care.